I want to welcome everybody to another episode of Wipe Like a Pro. For those of you who are new to this platform, this YouTube channel, the whole purpose of this is to get education out there about weed wiping. And I'll show the little sticker we have here. This is our Wipe Like a Pro contest. If you do weed wiping and have done it before with sponges, we encourage you to send pictures of before and after photos of your weeds you're going after, what you're using it on. Many of you that are building weed wipers, the thing I've shared before in these things is I love how farmers across the country will take our sponges and build something that really caters to the needs that they have. And today we have they're probably my favorite people in Kansas. We've had a long relationship. In fact, joining us today is Robert and Kathy Roohms. They have a long history in weed wiping. In fact, I'm going to stick my neck on the line and say there ain't nobody in the country that has the experience that this gentleman has with weed wipers, including myself and our company. So I'm going to start by introducing them. Robert Roohms. Robert and Kathy, of course, are from a town. Help me out, Kathy. You're from what part of Kansas? What's the name? St. John. St. John's, Kansas. And Robert, over the years, has custom weed wiped over 250,000 acres. He's been doing this for a lot of years, and he is, if I have to, I will contact him and I'll call him regularly because I think he's the best expert and the best at what he does. So that being said, I'll also give you a little history of our company and the relationship that we've had with Robert and Kathy. And Robert will share his history on weed wiping. But in the late 90s, Robert actually took our gravity feed system, and he, like many farmers, took a good product and made it significantly better. And what he did was he came up with a way to pump feed our sponges. And when Robert came to us early 2000s, it was right after GMOs hit. Our company was devastated because we weren't selling as many wipers nationwide because of GMOs. But I am very thankful that relationship started with them because when we started making pump-fed weed wipers in early 2000s, we never went back. We never looked back and went back to the gravity fed. They just work so much better. And I'm going to let Robert share some of those things in this interview. But Robert and Kathy, thank you so much for joining us. This, as you guys have watched episodes before, this is our sales manager, Derek Smith, and he is going to ask the first question to Robert. So go ahead.
Right. First question for Robert. Robert, why don't you give us a little brief history of weed wiping, when you started? Have you used any other applicators before, you or your neighbors? And why did you end up using a sponge for your custom application?
Well, I had a piece of farm ground that was up north, and it had some rye on it from over the years, and it just kept getting worse and worse. And I went to a 3-eye show at Great Bend, I believe, or it could have been Dodge City, and they had the weed wiper there. They had the box on it and the tricycle tires that you could pull with a four-wheeler or that type of ATM vehicle. Or a little tractor. So we went and bought that at the 3-eye show. I think I bought the one that was at the display so they wouldn't have to take it home. And then
I was only 15 at the time, by the way, just so everyone knows.
So I had to be 84 or 85, somewhere in there.
If we leave a show and not selling our displays, he hangs us up.
So we took that to the field and and tried to do a 400-acre field, which was pretty difficult and time consuming because of the way it worked for us in that large of a field. Took a long time. Then we didn't have any guidance system. So I hired a kid to stand in the middle of the field with a piece of PVC pipe and move 30 foot at a time, and I drove to him.
Wait, we had phone markers at the time. Why didn't you have a phone marker for that thing? Come on, Robert.
If you did, we didn't buy the phone marker kit.
Okay, all right.
That's what I did. Anyway, we did that for a while, and I had some neighbors ask me if if we could do some work for them. And so we did. And then a year or so later, thought, well, farming wasn't all that good to us, and we needed to make some extra money to try to support the farm. So we advertised in a Hutch paper, and we did several hundred acres for different people. And during that time, it was like, this is really killing us. So how to figure out how to do it different. And that's when I put it on a tractor and then made the one that moved up and down hydraulically. And we pulled that around for about 4 years. And that's when I went to a pump system. It was really way before that. That was a 40-foot system, which improved a lot. And we put foam markers on it, which was a pretty good improvement. And then we use that in row crop also. So we that type of deal, we could move it up and down hydraulically, which worked in soybeans and besides rye and wheat fields. And there started to be a lot of red-rooted or red pigweeds before the Roundup started not affecting it. We could still use Roundup on that in soybeans. So I started doing summer crop like wheat, and then fall crop like row crop, mainly soybeans at that time and some cotton. And we just kept, as you're driving a tractor that many hours, and you think to yourself, well, how can I make this better? So, and the main problem was on a lot of bigger systems that would have the PVC canvas wrap. If you put that on a spray rig or something like that, if you went over a terrace or something, most of the chemical would run to one end or the other end in a 10-foot tube, and you wouldn't get an even application. So one day I was sitting at Waco in
Waco, there to Enid?
No, we're in Kansas.
Or Simpson.
Anyway, I was sitting there and I was wanting to get some parts to make my new system, put it together, and that's when John Guest fittings came out. And everything I had this guy pull out laying on the counter, I said, just put all that back. And he looked at me kind of funny. I asked him what those fittings were and that kind of thing. And he says, kind of explained it to me. And it just came to me, we could just do that in the same length as a sponge and feed us that sponge system and pump it off of a spray rig. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we did. If you went over terraces or anything, your sponge would stay uniformly wet and it wouldn't drip or run out on the end or anything. It maintained, and when you just keep it wet and keep it moving with the pump system, seemed to work better and better. So then we applied it to a Hagee spray rig.
Yeah.
And then after we put it on a spray rig, we ran it for 2 or 3 years that way. And then I contacted Rob. And
yeah, he put me on the informal. And I found out I was allergic to the rye, the flower, the pollen, and my eyes swelled shut. So I changed my things I do.
She became the manager and finding jobs, and we started doing more work with spray rigs.
Oh, that's awesome. Robert, that's so good. In fact, I'm going to fast forward into a few years ago. In there in Kansas, we got a call. I got a call from the Peterson Farm Brothers. Most everyone's familiar with those guys. And I'm going to hop over here. I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see this. It should be on the screen here. This is, if you can see the video, this is Robert Roohms in Kansas on the Peterson Farm Brothers farm. You can see here he's going to be doing a combination of wiping in the soybean fields, getting rid of some pigweed, and then also in the milo, I believe you're getting rid of shatter cane. Is that right, Robert?
That was pigweeds or in the milo there on the Peterson fields, and then shatter cane or volunteer corn in the soybeans.
Okay, so if you look right here, you can click at this watch complete video, and then you can watch the whole video that Greg Peterson did where he talks about weed wiping, and you can see Robert and Kathy in action here. One other video that I do want to highlight for you all, as you, those of you who are looking to get involved in weed wiping and do it yourself, Robert and I, back in 2011, if you go to this page on our website, this is Robert's video right here. As you can see, it's in 2011. I recorded him while we were in the cab. This is probably one of our most watched videos, Robert. The quality is not that great, and it's probably about 20 to 30 minutes long, but extremely informative, because Robert walks you through, as he's wiping in rye, how to use it, some of the details about using it, when to turn on and off your pump and so forth. So, Robert, I'm going to ask you the next question here is, if you would give some advice to a farmer in Illinois that wants to start weed wiping in his soybeans. He's never used a weed wiper before. He wants to put it on his self-propelled weed wiper, self-propelled sprayer, and maybe he only is going to do 60 feet of his 90-foot boom. What, as someone that's experienced in doing this, what's your best advice to that farmer who's never weed wiped before?
I'd take the machine after I got everything set up. I'd take it to the edge of the road, and I'd flood it just like you would a spray pattern on a spray rig, and make sure that all your sponges were working evenly, and it maintained an even wetness all the way across. And then I'd get out with some rubber gloves and wipe that down along a road or somewhere, maybe a fence line or something, away from the field. And then what I'd do is I'd go out and I'd make my first round and kind of get a judge on how much material was coming through. If it was really light material, then you shouldn't see anything coming out of those sponges, as far as dripping. And if you ever saw it dripping, you're probably plenty wet. And the main thing is just keep it moving like 5 to 6 or 7 mile an hour, depending on the field condition, and try to keep it smooth and hit as much of the weed or the corn or the shatter cane as possible. Mm-hmm. And once you did that, I'd make that first round, and then I'd get out and I'd take my rubber gloves again and maybe touch that sponge and just see how wet it is, to give you some idea how long that's going to maintain. Mm-hmm. If it's cool in the morning and if it's whatnot, you're going to be able to get more rounds in a hot afternoon. So I'd say you're probably going to have to prime that, depending on how much material is coming into your sponge, judged by your first round, maybe once every round or once every 2 rounds. If you have a lot of material, you're going to have to, I load them up just before you see a real big batch of material coming towards you. Just hit it for a few seconds and then just stay off from it and keep it wet and keep it moving. And if you overloaded it or got it where it's running out on the ground, just stop, wipe it off, and then start in again.
And then when you say once every round, is that once every 5 minutes or 10 minutes, or what do you think the average is?
If you're moving 5 miles an hour, you're gonna, you make a half a mile, you're gonna make 5 rounds in an hour,
Okay.
So that'd be 5, but depending on how wide you are and whatnot, if that'd be the other thing, how wide your boom is or that type of thing, but. It's really going to make a dependence on how much material you got coming. If you're in a lot of rye or in a lot of material like shatter cane, that thing's going to take a lot out of that sponge. You can actually see how wet it is by looking at a lot of times you can catch it looking sideways, it'll glisten, or that weed will show some kind of a wetness on it, but it doesn't come off that weed and splatter on your crop. It'll stay right there on that weed or that shatter cane.
And Robert, kind of prefacing that too, I want to mention this because this is really important. Again, like you said, the 80s and 90s, no one was really doing this on this wide of a boom. They were smaller booms, and right. You couldn't do that now that we can be pump fed. But my question to you, and this is important for people to understand, is if you look really closely at this video we have going here, you have a auto boom height control on that machine. And this particular machine, Robert, is that 80 or 90 feet wide? How wide is that one there?
100 foot.
100 foot.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And you have an auto boom height control. If you had to give advice, again, to a farmer who's got, let's say they have a 100-foot boom that folds up to 60 feet wide, if they don't have auto boom height control, would you recommend that they stick with a 60-foot kit instead of trying to do the whole boom? And why is that?
Yeah, I'd stick with the something that's more controllable that you can, because your ends on a bigger boom like that, if you don't have a height control and you narrow it up a little bit, your stanchion of your spray rig is going to maintain your 50 or 60 foot, and it's not going to dip on you. A 100-foot boom, you can watch people spraying, or they get to wobbling or dipping, and it'll run smoother on a bigger spray rig if you don't. If like you could use 60 foot or something like that.
Right. This is back in, and this is a different sprayer right here, Robert. But this is you wiping rye and wheat. And if you had to judge that field, if you remember it, that was a long time ago. But that had a lot of rye in that field, didn't it? When you were wiping that one.
Yeah, we probably loaded that 2 or 3 times per round.
Yeah.
And you look a lot younger in that picture, too.
Why do you look younger in that picture? That was about 10, 11 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I remember that field perfectly.
Yeah.
That's just the way.
He does. People can call from anywhere. And, well, does that fit? And he'll recall it.
Yeah, I remember that field.
We've kind of hit on it a little bit already, but what crops are you wiping in most often, and what weeds have you had really good success at controlling with a wiper?
We've done rye and wheat fields like in starting like April, and then it'll usually end up the last week of June. And then because we'll do Oklahoma and a little bit in Kansas, and then eastern Colorado, just east of Denver, or east of Denver, and that country through there, and for a ways. But and then after that, it's about 2 to 3 weeks, like the second week of July, there'll be shatter cane that'll start showing up in Milo. Or last year we started with some pigweeds or shatter cane and volunteer corn and edible beans. And then we'll do soybeans sometimes after that's flowered, and you don't want to spray a soybean because it'll drop the pods and things, or the flowers for podding. So you can catch some of your volunteer corn or some of your pigweeds that you could get, and soybeans, which is also a lot like cotton. Look, cotton's the same way. There'll be the same problem in cotton sometimes.
That's great.
And Milo.
Right.
And alfalfa. We've done some alfalfa. Most generally in alfalfa, it's the first crop that to try to get, because they get a lot of weed pressure in it, because it's trying to establish, or an older crop of alfalfa that's deteriorating, and it gets a lot of red-rooted or different kinds of pigweeds in it. And if you go in there and kill those pigweeds, the next time you cut it, those pigweeds won't be in the second crop. They try to get those weeds kind of cleaned up in some of that alfalfa, so it's not so weedy.
Excellent.
Which makes a better grade of alfalfa.
So my next question, I'm gonna gear this question to Kathy, because I know every great business can't be done by one person. Although Robert's the expert and he's the one that's driving, someone's got to get out there and meet the customers and make those appointments. And Kathy, you've been working with Robert all this time. I know you were a nurse before. So I want to know from your perspective, what's the things that you enjoy the most about your top crop business and your custom application business, and then also share with us the area that you guys cover. And we're going to post, as you're talking, your phone numbers on here so people can contact you guys. And if you're in their area and can do custom weed wiping, these guys are experts at it and they're very good at it. So Kathy, share with us what you like about weed wiping and or about being involved in the business, and then what area you cover.
I'm pretty much a people person, and I love getting out and meeting the people. And they're consistent. Farmers are the same. My background of being the nurse is I like being there and being there with the people. It just works out very well for me to keep Robert in the field, and he sometimes gets food. Take the
But I don't look like I'm missing it.
He gets so much joy out of getting rid of people's weeds that he doesn't need food, right? Well, probably not.
We're probably busiest in doing the rye in the wheat fields, and I really enjoy that. It's the people and it's the team approach of being able to work with the farmer, and there's a lot of Roundup Ready wheat and stuff. We've not Roundup Ready wheat. Scratch that. What is it? It's like double stop, and there's things that they can spray on it, but a lot of times that doesn't work out for them. They may get one spray, and then we end up going back and doing it for them with the wipe.
Kathy, one of the interesting. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Robert.
System, and most generally we're fixing problems that hadn't worked in other crops that we could come in and take care of things with that they can't use or they failed at with some other chemicals. So, and
I would say, guys, one of the real value of a farmer hiring a custom applicator, especially if you're getting rid of rye and wheat, it's always good to get rid of your weeds. But you've told me before how happy it makes your customers when they can go and deliver their grain and not get docked because of all the rye in their wheat. And that's in dollars and cents, that is a huge. It hurts the farmer if he can't get the full value when he takes it to the co-op, to sell his grain. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. Sometimes they dock at 10%, and then some places I've heard that when they bring their crop in and it has rye in the wheat field or in their grain and in the trucks, they will write them a check then and not let them leave the scale until they've written them a check, and that's feed grain. So it does make a big difference for Robert. I am very proud of what he's done and what he's accomplished. I laugh and say, where you go to the next one, go, but
she locates all the fields and the farmers take it from one field to another, and she'll tell me, try to put in a pattern of where you're working in
right
to another without jumping 20, 30 miles and then have to come back.
Yep.
A lot of times, most generally, our fields and farmers that we work for is word of mouth, and they'll ask, and we'll be able to work for their neighbors or somebody the next year or whatnot if they don't have a problem. So.
Yeah.
So I do all this with being directionally challenged. I do not know whether I'm going north, south, east, or west, and I never eat sour wheat. But something that really saved me, and I share it with the farmers because they always have a hired hand come in, and they don't know the fields, go to old Mabel's place or this or the home place. Well, I use a Garmin. And I mark all fields with Garmin's, and sometimes it's a challenge, but I might have to back up, move the vehicle to tell me where.
From a phone marker manufacturer, I can tell you there's benefits. It helps Robert steer those weed wipers, and Garmin helps you get where you need to go. So it's great technology. And technology, I'm going to kind of show one more thing on the screen here for everybody. this is, again, their business is called Top Crop. And if you're on Facebook, here is their Facebook page. You can see here's another picture of Robert going in the field. I love the other posts that Kathy puts on there. There's some great ones. Here's some adult peer pressure, seeing your neighbor make test cuts. Just a great website, a Facebook page. Here is also their phone numbers if you want to contact them. And then to end here, again, I just want to thank you guys so much for joining us. You guys have probably, again, more experience than I know of anyone that's done this before. On average, I know you guys do at least 20 to 30,000 acres a year. That's a lot of weed wiping. And one of the last questions I want to ask you, Robert, is a very common question. Derek and I get it almost every other day is, okay, how long are my sponges going to last? And our typical answer is they'll go away in 1 year if you don't take care of them. You know, if you keep them out in the sunlight and don't clean them out. However, on the other side of that, if you had to guess how many acres you can cover with one set of sponges, of course, you replace them pretty regular. And I think you even double net them because you put so much use on them. But about how many acres, Robert, would you say you can cover with a set of sponges on your weed wiper?
Probably 15,000. Probably 15,000 acres easily.
Yeah. So
they last you a year and up to 3 years, depending on the net that you put on there. As long as you keep good nets on them and keep them in a good condition as far as when you put them away, because I like to take them off every year and then put them in a cellar or something like that. So
keeping them out of the sunlight is the most important thing, you know, because the sun will make them go away faster. So for those of you out there that are doing, you know, less than 15,000 acres a year, I've had, you know, growers that have gone 5, 10, 15 years as long as they take good care of the sponges, which is very important.
Yeah. If you know, do your job, and then if you want to put them away, just put them away and put them back in a box or something, and let them dry out. You know, and like inside the shed, and then put them away in a box or something like that. But I save the boxes we ship them in, and put them back in a box, and then.
There you go.
And then if you do run a sponge or a net, or you break a T-riser, all these parts are replaceable too. So
Yeah. A lot of that stuff you can pick up.
One last thing I'm going to share here, if you can see my screen, is for those of you who want to put a weed wiper on a self-propelled and have something similar to what Robert's doing here, if you go to the Smucker page and click on products and click on sprayer kits, I want to kind of highlight this. This is, it's loading here. You can see we've got all different sizes, but let's say on that 100-foot kit that Robert's got, this particular kit here is for 100-foot sprayer. It's everything you need to mount this to a typical spray boom, which you can see down below, how you don't need to weld anything onto your boom. It just attaches like this, goes to your closest spray tip nozzle. And then for details of how to install that, this short video here, it gives you kind of a hands-on, here's how you can mount it onto an existing sprayer boom, whether it be a John Deere or a Hagie or a Wilmar or a Case, whatever brand you have. Although I will kind of end this with saying, like Robert's, if you have a front boom, whether it be a Miller or a Hagie or an old detasseler, having it out there in front, especially in row crops, is a big advantage because you're hitting those weeds before your tires run over them. Is that correct, Robert?
Yeah, I like the front boom because it'll anything that you can hit before your tires run over. That way you've got that material, that product wiped onto that before you. On another, like a spray rig that runs over first, and some of those weeds could pop up later and where your tire tracks are.
Yeah, that's right.
So, rye.
Guys, I want to thank you so much. It is always a pleasure. I know you've been to Oregon once here, and we hope that can maybe when you're close to retiring, right? You'll have another retirement trip out to Oregon, and we can go fishing, Robert. What do you think? And
any kind of fishing, yes. I don't care. We're going to try to take up some fishing this year.
Okay. All right. You have no invitation. I'm going to throw one more advertisement out there. One of the fun parts on this Wipe Like a Pro, any of you farmers that are using weed wipers, if you send us your pictures, every year we do a drawing, and guess what the winner wins? The farmer and the dealer that sold it to him win a fishing trip out here to Oregon. And I have to say, Derek is my resident hunter and fisherman, and you're going to go fishing with him, and he knows what he's doing. So,
and last year we had 12 entries, is all. Yeah. 1 in 12 chance, and the guy that won's actually from Pennsylvania, and I'm assuming he's probably never caught a salmon or steelhead in Pennsylvania. So,
yeah.
So there you go. If you're a farmer and you've got a weed wiper, send us your pictures. So again, thank you so much, Kathy and Robert. I really appreciate you guys' time. I hope that you have a great summer. I know you're getting ready to. When will you go out again here to doing some fall, late summer wiping?
July, most generally. And okay. we've had some phone calls about the volunteer corn and milo or in soybeans. So we'll probably do some of that here for too long.
Where are you headed? What direction are you headed from St. John?
West, probably between here and Garden City.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Guys, I do want to say that Robert and I are putting together a top crop weed wipers website, and we will be able to sell them also. And so we will be a drop ship kind of thing.
Yep.
So
fantastic. As I will tell you, everyone that's watching here, if you watch the website, there's a place on the website where you can click on Buy Now. And when Robert and Kathy's Top Crop website is up and going, there'll be a link on that, and it'll take you right to their page to make it easy to order sponges. And I will end with this because, Robert, you and Kathy, in sharing that information about weed wipers and making it a pump fed, one of the key things that I've told you guys this before, and it has really helped us as a company, and we genuinely appreciate this, is, as most of you know, we're out in Oregon. And most of the weed wipers that we sell them in Oregon, but most of them are in the Midwest and even farther east. And to ship a 30-foot weed wiper from Oregon to Illinois it's a long ways to go and expensive, and you know the metal can get broken. The beauty of a pump-fed system in our kits is it's all UPSable. You know, they come in 30-inch increments, just like you see back here. They come in a box. You can attach them to a sprayer boom, and it's taken and we're a small company, but it's taken a company that had a good idea in the sponges. You've made it a great product that we can put on a bigger weed wiper. And I really want to thank you guys genuinely. It's been great to work with you guys. And I wish you the best. And again, retirement's around there for a lot of us. We're getting closer, I think, retiring for all of us. So that being
I don't have a bill here or a hat on.
Since I take my hat off, Robert, you got to take your hat off too. Let's see if you have more hair than I do, because I know we're about the same age. Oh, you still have more than I do. That's good.
Mine's gone, but I shaved it. I got a long ways to go.
And he's only in his 30s, so he's got ways to go. Yeah. So anyhow, guys.
Goes from wiping too much. How do we make this thing better? That's the thing about it. You know, we just couldn't cover enough acres. That's why we went to a different, more, bigger. Like everything else is. Look at all the new John Deere products. You go to a John Deere dealer today, and holy cow, this stuff's getting big.
Yeah, it is. And when you invest, you know, Robert, you put a lot of money into your millers and your Haggies. You've had a lot of machines over the years. People don't realize that to do that's a big investment. And to get the most bang out of that investment, you guys have done a great job of developing your custom application company. And I'm going to encourage growers across the country. You hit it at the very beginning, Robert. Farming doesn't always support our families like it should. You know, unfortunately we're in that kind of day and time, But if other growers around the country see these weed issues and say, you know what, I've solved this on my own farm, go out there and wipe your neighbor's fields, and who knows, it may grow into a business and a profitable business that it's like every business. If you can have not only a profitable way of doing this, but where you're solving people's problems, it's what you enjoy getting up and doing every day, isn't it?
There's more than there's people doing it. That's for sure.
That's exactly right. Excellent. Yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. I'm looking forward to posting this, getting it out there for people to watch. And we will end here with our outro. And just thank you guys again for your time. Have a great day, guys.